Hey, welcome back to the stash. Superman isn't just a hero, he's an idea, a symbol of hope, love, and resilience, and for decades, creators have tried to capture that spark, that balance between the mythic and the human. Some get close and some don't, but every once in a while you get a story that reminds you exactly why Superman has endured for generations. A story that's less about saving the world and more about what it means to live in it. And Superman issue 21 is that story. This issue isn't about Clark lifting a planet or punching through dimensions. No, it's about the quieter moments, the ones that define him as a person. It's about Lois and Clark, about their love, their struggles, and the weight of what they carry together. It's about what happens when Superman for once tries to take a break. But here's the thing about Clark Kent. Even when he's off the clock, the world keeps spinning, and the weight of it never really goes away. Joshua Williamson and Dan Mora give us a Superman story that isn't afraid to breathe. It's playful, heartwarming, and a little heavy when it needs to be. This is a date night that takes us across galaxies, dives into Clark's insecurities, and somehow still makes time for Krypto. It's a love story, not just between any two ordinary people, but between Superman and Lois Lane, one of the greatest couples in comic history, and this issue makes you feel that. You feel the decades of stories shared between the two. You feel the love that's lasted through many generations, but most importantly, you feel the realness of it all. Now, this entire run by Williamson has been absolutely fantastic for the most part. I literally can't complain, and when it comes to this release, there's just something about it that stands out from the rest. It feels like a chapter of this arc that addresses my major concerns I had with the story and writing and completely fixes them. So join us today as we go over Superman issue 21. Before we get into that though, I want to take a quick second to say that here at The Stash, we're trying to reach 11,000 subscribers before the end of the month. It's a huge ask, but with your help, I know we can do it. So if you're new around here and you love Superman or just comic content in general, feel free to stick around and maybe hit that subscribe button. But anyway, with all that being said, let's get right back into the video. Doomsday lies dormant, restrained by the Black Mercy strain at Supercorp. For now, the looming threat of his escape is just that, a threat. So Superman decides to do something rare, to take a break. It's date night for Clark and Lois, but it's more than that as well. For Clark, it's a way to ground himself, to calm the red-hot rage he's been carrying after recent events. He tells himself this is time to relax, to prove he can stop thinking about the burdens on his shoulders, but who is he kidding? Superman never stops thinking about the weight of the world. Before they do head out though, Clark leaves Supergirl in charge of Metropolis, and Lois, ever the practical one, asks if she has Batman's number, like a mom making sure her kid can call the neighbors if something goes wrong. But after that, it's finally time for their date. First they're in space and then the moon. Clark enlisted Mr. Terrific to set up a temporary oxygen zone so they can play dance with moon rocks against the lunar surface. Lois wonders if other heroes have dates this exciting. We then swiftly cut to see Jimmy Olsen and Silver Banshee snuggled up on the couch watching a movie, which is actually one of 3 interludes within this comic. The date continues, a whirlwind of magical shows with Zatanna, a quick trip to Dinosaur Island, and even playing fetch with Krypto. These moments of joy are interwoven with Lois reflecting on her newfound struggles as editor-in-chief for the Daily Planet. She has so many stories to tell, especially now that she's Superwoman, but she can't do a thing about it, no matter how much her heart desperately wants to. Later on, as the date continues to a quiet picnic in Gemworld, Lois notices Clark phasing out. His mind is drifting back to Doomsday and the ominous prophecy from the Time Trapper. The memory of their first encounter with Doomsday resurfaces. The fear, the pain, the reminder of their morality, and now the prophecy weighs heavy. Clark proceeds to open up about what the Time Trapper foretold if he doesn't help him die, evolve, and become a god. It's a haunting truth, compounded by Clark's realization that his immortality might force him to outlive everything and everyone he loves. Just as the weight of the moment settles, Amethyst bursts onto the scene. Trouble is brewing in Gemworld. Another house has gone rogue, summoning an army from the Shadowlands, and the pair leap into action. But before we see them properly fight, we get a haunting interlude of a glimpse into Doomsday's dreams, which are unsurprisingly just a symphony of carnage and destruction. Back in Gemworld, the battle unfolds with magical skeletons, chaotic energy, and Superman finally letting loose. But it's Lois who saves the day, negotiating a truce with Amethyst and the Rogue House. Turns out what they needed was a special medication only Amethyst lands could provide. Sadly, the date has taken an unexpected detour, and Clark suggests that they try Mars or Gorilla City next, but something still feels off, and so they decide on a different plan. But quickly, one last interlude gives us a surprising moment with Mindwipe Lex Luthor and Mercy. Lex, now oddly thoughtful, brings Mercy her favorite coffee and thanks her for everything she's done. He even admits that he hasn't been able to stop thinking about her since they've met again. It's very unexpected and leaves you wondering if we're witnessing the beginning of a new chapter for Lex and Mercy. Finally, we return to Clark and Lois. Dressed in everyday clothing, they grab one of their favorite breakfasts in Smallville. Lois realizes that what their date has been missing is them, Lois and Clark, a city girl and a small town boy. She tells Clark, "Don't worry about forever, but just be here with me now." And in that moment, we're reminded of the heart of their relationship, the way they anchor each other amidst the chaos. But their perfect moment is shattered by a call from Supergirl. The couple races back to Metropolis, greeted not by snow but rather ash. Above, an invasion fleet looms, announcing their purpose: vengeance. They are the last survivors of the world's doomsday destroyed, wearing ceremonial garb that echoes the monster's original suit. And so our story ends with their haunting ultimatum: surrender Doomsday, or they'll destroy the Earth. Joshua Williamson delivers yet another incredible chapter to his Superman run, with this release prioritizing character over spectacle, which did wonders for the overall arc he's building here. But before we dive deep into the story, let's talk about Dan Mora and Alejandro Sanchez, because their art deserves yet another standing ovation. Just like I said about the art in every other video I've made looking at a comic that this duo is in, Mora's pencils paired with Sanchez's colors elevate every single moment, whether it's a quiet tender exchange or an adrenaline pumping action panel. I just adore how Mora captures it all effortlessly, and how about that retro panel he did? I need a whole issue with this art in that style. Now, for me, what makes this issue shine isn't its action, but rather the heart of the story. Williamson slows things down here, letting the story breathe within sweet, wholesome moments between Clark and Lois. It's these sort of moments, the ones that we watch them support and truly understand each other in their respective roles, that remind us why they're one of the best DC and comic couples in history. Their relationship feels authentic, built on trust and mutual respect, and I love that Williamson makes sure that we feel that in every single panel we see. Now, this issue takes its time, leaning into character development and interpersonal moments, and honestly, I'm here for it. It's exactly what I thought the arc was missing. Williamson nails the little details too, like Clark and Lois discussing their stresses as Superman and Superwoman, while also reminding us that beneath it all they're still Clark and Lois. That moment was so important to me. Their identities as individuals and as a couple are given equal weight, and it's a joy to see their dynamic so fully realized. I loved how this issue frames its story through the lens of a date between Clark and Lois, because to me it was a really refreshing change of pace. The aftermath of Doomsday's chaos, revealed to be a time trap set by the Time Trapper, is unraveling slowly, and while the mystery takes a back seat, I think it works. This chapter isn't about big revelations or high-octane conflict. It's about giving these characters space to process, connect, and remind us why we care about them, why we are so invested in their wonderful world. Williamson's approach feels earned, especially after the non-stop intensity of the previous issue. It's a breather, but without a doubt an earned one. This release addresses one of my biggest complaints with issues 19 and 20, the lack of emotional beats. Here, Williamson slows down to reflect on the intense events Clark has endured and how they've affected him mentally. There's still room to push further into those emotional depths, but the issue does enough to leave me satisfied, and that's something I didn't expect going in. This issue is a testament to what makes Superman such a timeless and endearing character. It doesn't rely on a massive battle or world-ending stakes to leave an impact. Instead, it focuses on the things that have always defined Clark Kent: his humanity, his relationships, and his ability to inspire. Seeing him and Lois navigate this new chapter in their lives with humor, love, and unshakable trust feels like a love letter to fans who have followed them for decades, and yet it still also offers something fresh for new and old readers alike. Superman issue 21 is a reminder that sometimes the most heroic thing you can do isn't saving the world, it's simply being there for the people you love.